forward, we reached out to Fed. We are an authorized sending point for ACH, so we thought that was the path to go for FedNow as well. And they said you have to work with a financial institution to be able to do that. That's when we reached out to Glenn at Catalyst, and we came together and said, how do we initiate instant payments to our merchants, to our dealers who are looking for those funds 24/7? Not so much 24/7, but definitely 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And that's how this journey for us started. And as Glenn said, we have done it, and it has been very successful in terms of them getting the funds when they need it, as often as they need it through instant payments.
Now, looking at growing instant payments usage and adoption, what are your thoughts from a fintech perspective and then from a financial institution perspective? So why should fintechs and financial institutions consider instant payments, consider FedNow? So maybe I'll start with you.
Sure. And, the way I look at it, today you might get a competitive advantage if you are doing instant payment. As I said, the first use case that came to us, they said, when we are looking at lenders, this is one of the criteria we are evaluating in terms of the type and how frequently we would give you loans. So for us to gain more volumes, if we supported that, we would get more volume. So this was a competitive advantage. But I think 12 months from now, I feel like this is going to become table stakes. So if you're not able to support instant payments, you're not going to be able to compete or stay relevant. I think we've all talked about digitization. Consumers expect, they're already living in the world of Zelle, which is not even instant payment truly, but at least they see the money instantly reflecting in their account. But I think in this day and age, everybody would want, from a lending perspective, I'm talking, expect the funds coming to them instantaneously. I'm sitting, I'm shopping, I'm doing my home improvement loan at a Home Depot loan, and I'm getting my financing approved, and I'm getting my finance amount right there and then. So I feel like the future is this is going to become table stakes in lending in the next 12 months.
I think this is right on the mark as far as the ability for not just credit unions to be able to use instant payments. So many of the credit unions that we have talked with since the launch date of FedNow have kind of been narrowly focused on how this works as it relates to maybe my other solutions around P2P payments or account-to-account payments. But to me, one of the real powers of FedNow and instant payments are use cases such as the one that we are working on here, the lending use case. And the example today of auto lending is certainly one example, but there are a myriad of other lending use cases where credit unions can take advantage of the ability to have a 24/7, 365 capabilities to be able to send those transactions, in this case to the auto dealer over weekends. That is particularly helpful at when a quarter ends on a weekend and the dealer is able to receive those funds immediately. It puts the credit union in a very advantageous position for that business and for those transactions. So certainly the example that we've got live and in production today is very beneficial, but I think it also is an illustration of the various different ways that a credit union or financial institution can use instant payments. It's not just about another layering on of a P2P solution, which has that capability, but I think these other use cases are very valuable.
Glenn, you did say the magic word there, request for payment, and there's a lot of opportunity with request for payment. There's also a lot of complexity around request for payment. So maybe how you thinking about that? Interested in terms of how you thinking about it and the benefits there.
Yeah, we were actually one of the first organizations certified to do request for payments, both from origination and a receive standpoint, with the thought in mind that this is another capability that is going to spearhead growth and adoption of instant payment. And when that time comes, you're right, there's a number of complexities there. We are working with several different vendors that our credit unions utilize in order to help bring forward the adoption and the capabilities for requests for payments. I think it's still a part of that journey, but I do think that as those systems become enabled for both sending and receiving requests for payments, there will be an adoption that will actually bring a lot of the power, because the ability to couple the messaging, the data that we talked about, along with the transaction and settlement, really gives you much more of a holistic solution around the payment in general. And so, to me, that's the next big thing from an instant payments perspective, is the capability and utilization of request for payments.
And before Niku provides her perspective, do you want to just quickly say what request for payment is and how it works, just high level for the audience?
So this is a capability of, as opposed to sending a transaction, just the messaging, a request to pay a transaction. So it's using FedNow, using the instant payment rails to initiate that request and have it accepted and received on the other side, to then initiate the transaction and be able to not only have the transaction, but the data that is associated with that transaction.
That's a great explanation.
And for when we were looking at requests for payment, we were initially, when we were whiteboarding our use case, we wanted to go there because it gives the control to the entity that's transferring the money. If somebody's sending you a request for payment, you have the ability to check it, right? Say, okay, this is a valid request and I want to fund this. So there's more structure around it. You can control the disbursement, whoever is getting the request for payment. So we really like conceptually. The problem in our use case was 24/7, and credit unions would not have people approving requests for payments. And when we are doing, as I said, 30 million, 40 million worth of loans in a day, and you're sending thousands of requests, it didn't seem practical. So we had to go find another solution. But where I think it would play out for us is us paying our vendors, where they are sending us requests for payment on invoices, and then we have the control to say, yes, this is a valid payment, helps with fraud checks, kind of reduces some of the risk. And in case of, when we go B2C, we want to explore that a little bit more to see if there was a request for payment that's generated that we can approve and have that sort of fraud check or control at that point. That's how we are envisioning to have more control in the process, so we know when the payment is going out, it is going to a party that we intended to launch.
What is your vision for the future of instant payments? How do you see things developing? What's getting you excited?
One of the things is the interest in the adoption. The conversations we're having with credit unions today are much different than the ones that we had 2-3 years ago. There is starting to become a base knowledge and education out there of what instant payments are. So it's exciting that credit unions now are more engaged on not just what it is it a new type of ACH or what it is. I think as an industry gotten beyond that, and it's much more around how do I use it, the adoption, and in the what does it take in order to implement? Who do I need to work with, and those kind of things. And so the conversation has changed, which I think is really encouraging. This is a journey. There's a lot of, but this is an area that is so ripe for innovation. And I think we're seeing that. That's really just the nature of this conference is around a lot of discussions around innovation and how things are happening so fast in the industry. Some of the things that we're also seeing from credit unions is still a reluctance to get on board because of concerns about the amount of lift, the amount of resources, the 24/7, 365 aspect of that. So to date, none of the credit unions that we've onboarded on the FedNow have had to do anything as far as additional staffing or resources. The implementation, many of our credit unions come back and say it's the easiest implementation we've done of anything since as a credit union. So I think as more and more this becomes, and it has become really table stakes, I think what we're seeing is, and I think it's already starting to happen and will continue to happen, is if I'm a credit union and I'm asked, do I receive ACH transactions? You almost laugh at the thought of that. It's like, well, of course we receive ACH transactions. To me, it's the same situation now with instant payments. The answer really is, well, of course we are offering instant payments because that's where our members want us to be and that's where they expect us to be. So to me, it's exciting. I do think it's a journey with a lot of things that are going to happen over the weeks and months and years to come. But as an industry, we are making progress, and I think it's just going to continue to springboard as new technologies and different vendors come into play to be able to accommodate the solution.
From our perspective, financing should not be time-driven, right? Financing should be available to the consumer, whoever is shopping, 24/7, 365. We talk about embedded finance. People are now doing more and more of their shopping online. You kind of look at those options that are available. So the vision for us would be all financing, lending would be on instant payments in the future, right? We would be able to transfer funds to the customer when they need it, irrespective of the day. Whether they are shopping on a Saturday or Sunday, they're not waiting for the accounts to hit on a Monday, which is the big issue with ACH today in terms of when the money comes in. So that's one piece. The second piece is better cash management. To know, you have the cash and when you're transferring. For me, as I look to the future, the use case for wire becomes quite less, at least on the domestic side, where why would you wire funds? Why do I have to be beholden to transfer funds by 2 p.m.? I should be able to transfer the funds anytime during the day to get it to the recipient at that time. So wire use cases would reduce for us. That's another one. Flexibility, obviously, is another piece. So I feel like as a fintech, we would be switching more and more to instant payments in all our use cases, whether it's receiving or sending.